Hello, badasses. Welcome back to the Badassladies Club. I'm Jessica. This is my bestie, Laurie, over here.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And we are back again. And thank you so much for all of your love and support. Please subscribe, rate, review through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, give us a follow on at the Badass Ladies Club on Instagram. We're also on Facebook, Badass Ladies, one word, Club, second word. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. So go check us out. This week's episode, I'm so excited about because I love talking about this. We're going to be talking about love languages, but before we start talking about love languages, we are going to introduce our badass of the week, and Laurie can do that.
I'm excited to talk about our badass of the week. This week, she shows lots of love. Her name is Carrie Davis, and Carrie is the owner of Gila Root Salon and Spa, which is in San Diego, California. She also is involved in so many educational opportunities and inspiration opportunities in our industry. I know that she's going to be speaking on stage at Serious Business. She's also got Beauty Backbone and works with Aveda Business College. But a big reason why Carrie came up for us, I think, was just because of the immense leadership and grace that she has shown this year while her salon has been closed more than once. You know, two,
California,
3 times. You know,
guys.
I know how it rocked us, and so to do it multiple times and to never have a total meltdown, which I'm sure that, maybe she did, but
right.
In what I saw, it was just really inspiring to see how she managed that whole situation and is continuing to manage that situation because they're currently closed right now.
Yes, they're on their third shutdown as of right now.
So thanks for being an awesome example, Carrie. We think you're a badass. We're sending you a badass box, and we would love for you to come hang out on the show and do a little virtual interview with us and tell us how things are going in San Diego.
Yeah.
So let's get to love languages.
Yes, let's get to love languages. So for anyone who is not familiar with the 5 love languages, there is a book.
Yes.
Do you know who wrote that book?
Look it up.
I'm going to look it up right now.
What's funny is I've read it multiple times over the years. The first time I want to say was 10 years ago, maybe. And every time I read it, I understand it at newer levels.
Yeah. So it was written by Gary Chapman.
There you go.
In 1992.
Isn't that wild?
My God. I didn't know that. I mean, I've read the book, but I didn't know it was from 1992.
Well, and it's had so many different versions and renditions
because there's
studies,
the 5 love languages for your relationship. Right. Or for your kids.
Yeah.
Or, so there's a multitude of versions of this book, I suppose.
They all kind of wrap up around these 5 ways that people communicate love and receive love. And so there's a quiz that you can take online. It'll tell you all about it. But sometimes just hearing about the 5 love languages, I realize how different I am in different relationships with these. So they are words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, receiving gifts, and physical touch are the 5 love languages.
Yeah. So I think it's important to realize that whereas, especially in a romantic relationship, obviously all 5 are very important to that relationship. You usually have a top 1 or possibly 2 that really, really speak to you and how you need to be loved. So not to say that, just because you have a love language, that doesn't mean that the other ones aren't valid or important
for you. Yeah, sure.
Right.
So words of affirmation are, I think, a big one in my world. I know that I like to hear things from people, that, that I'm doing a good job or that, I'm on the right track. And so words of affirmation are just, speaking appreciation. I read something a few days ago when I was reading up on this about how, this guy takes the trash out for his wife every night, and he doesn't mind taking the trash out, but it's when she delicately says, "Hey, thanks for taking the trash," it's little things like that the appreciation for the act that he did means way more to him than him doing the actual act, to the point where now he doesn't even have to hear about it, so much because he knows that that's the way that she feels about it. And so it's amazing to me how huge such little things can be, you know, for all of us, that it's those little efforts that make the biggest punch.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think one of yours is?
My love language, and I had a lot of guilt about this when I initially took the quiz and started learning more about myself, but my love language is receiving gifts. But the more I read into it and kind of experienced it, it's not about like, I need you to buy me a Louis Vuitton purse and, you know, all these things. I don't need big, extravagant gifts. It's more like, you know, when you go to the store and you buy me Reese's peanut butter cups because you know that that's my favorite candy. It's the fact that you were thinking of me while you were at the store. I love Reese's peanut butter cups. You were thinking of me, and that means the world to me, you know?
Understanding what you might like as a gift in the first place holds value, you know?
Yes,
like, yeah,
absolutely. Or, you know, a card, or, you know, like just any little thing. But for the record, if you want to buy me a Louis Vuitton purse, that's totally okay.
That's cool.
You can do that for me. But no, it's mostly about the little things and showing that the thought was there.
So one that I think is way misunderstood sometimes is the physical touch one, that people just immediately go to, oh, well, I got to get my hands all over this person if their love language is physical touch. But I think that physical touch has so much to do with like affirming physical touches, things like hands on your back or holding hands or showing affection in ways where like people around you understand and notice that that's what's going on. Sometimes is a lot more powerful for somebody with physical touch as a love language, as opposed to like getting naked, even though getting naked is great. But,
I mean,
you know,
like sex is great, but the physical touch aspect in the world of love languages isn't sex. It doesn't have to be sex. I know of some girlfriends who, you know, they don't need their man to tell them they love them. They don't need their man to buy them all the things. They're like, just smack me on the ass and, you know, just, you know, be like, love you, babe. And like, they're good with that. And that's okay.
Because that's their love language.
That's their love language.
So, and then acts of service, I think, is another one for me that is big, you know, like I really like it when kind of like your gifts, like if somebody understands me well enough to know something they could do for me that would make my life easier. And then they do that, and I'm not a part of that like conversation or decision at all. Wow. That speaks to me big time.
Yeah. Although acts of service, I wouldn't say is a primary love language for me, it does make it so much easier when your partner or your friends or those around you know what speaks to you as far as acts of service go, because you don't want to be the one to be like, I need you to do this.
Will you do this for me?
Will you do this for me? And you know that at least that's how it is for me. I don't want to be that person that constantly has to ask for things to be done when they can just be done without me asking.
Well, and that makes it something different. Then it's not a love language anymore. It's like me asking for help, which is a totally different set of circumstances. Like when you do something freely without me having to ask you, that feels loving to me. But when you do something because I asked you to do it, then obviously you would do that, you know, like, and so, yeah, I just think that takes it to a totally different space.
Absolutely. And quality time. Quality time is like right under receiving gifts. Quality time is my number 2, like right under that. That I, as much of a loner as I am, or that I say that I am, I do, especially when I'm in a relationship, I like being with that person. And it's not like I need you around 24/7 thing, because I do like my alone time and my independence. But when we are together, I like that time to be for us.
Right.
So putting down the phone, you know, maybe like indulging in conversation that is meaningful, and, you know, or I mean, mindless TV is good too. Like I could do a Parks and Rec or Schitt's Creek marathon any day of the week. But
we just started Schitt's Creek.
I'm so excited for you.
I'm like on season 2, like episode 4 or 5. I think it's really awesome. If you haven't seen it, you totally need. I know I'm way behind in this whole conversation. Anyway, quality time.
Yeah.
Put down the freaking cell phone. Like that. Absolutely. It does not count if your phone is in your hand. And I was reading about like couples who don't take their phones to bed. That like when it's time to go to bed, you plug the phone in the kitchen or whatever.
Right.
And I haven't done this yet, but I really have tried and practiced leaving my phone in the other room when it's quality time, you know? So it's not even a distraction to me. And it's weird because I totally think about it, you know? And I'm like, I wonder what's going on my phone. And then I remind myself, oh no, we're doing like quality time right now. Even quality time, no phone, no TV, no, you know, like
no technology.
Well, I'm down for the record player. I'm in on music, you know, like I think that, but just hanging out, you know, like is really, really important and top of the list on Aubrey's love languages. So
years and years ago, I tried this putting the phone in a different room thing. This is when my pug Delilah was still alive. That's how long ago this was. That was a while ago. So she had like storm anxiety whenever it was storming or raining outside. She was a pacer and she would pace, and pugs breathe heavy anyway. So it was loud and like you couldn't go to bed. So because I was keeping my phone in a different room, I had an actual alarm clock, which,
wow.
Yeah. You don't see much anymore. Right now, I know. And so I guess she was pacing back and forth so much and like under the bed and everywhere that she unplugged the alarm clock. And I didn't wake up in time for work the next day. And thankfully, I think I got up in time to where I like just barely made it to work. It wasn't a total disaster, but I remember posting about it on Facebook and I was like, oh my God, this happened. And our friend Mandy was like, you have an alarm clock? And I was
What's
like,
that?
Stop. So that's when I was like, okay, never mind. I need my phone.
Yep.
But you know, Simon Sinek is a big advocate for putting your phone away in another room and actually using an alarm clock. So I may have to get back to that.
I mean, just for an experiment, you know, see what changes. So I guess a big concept in the 5 love languages in general is that if you're in any kind of relationship, that there's a way that you like to receive love, but that you have to understand how your partner receives love. Because, for instance, if my love language is words of affirmation and I'm, you know, like giving words of affirmation all the time to Aubrey and that's not his love language, then it's missing its intention altogether, you know, and to him, he's not hearing it that way. You know, like I got to pay attention to the way the opposite person in the relationship receives that love.
Right. And so it's like this two-way street. So if you want to know your partner's love language, just pay attention to the way they show love to you.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I didn't pick up on that in the beginning. And so like in my relationship before, I would buy things.
Right.
And I'd be like, look what I got for you. I did this, I did that. And sometimes it was big gifts. Sometimes it was like really expensive concert tickets. Sometimes it was candy from the store or whatever. And he'd be like, cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
And I'm like, cool. I just bared my heart and soul into like giving you this thing. And yeah, he's just like, awesome.
Do you not understand what I've just done for you?
Right. I'm like, do you not understand? And actually right before we recorded this, Paul was just saying that, you know, in his relationship, he's like, stop loving me in your love language. That doesn't work. And I was like, yes, that's so frustrating when you're in a relationship and this person is showing you love in the way they like to receive love.
It's like somebody speaking a language you don't understand to you. And you want so badly to hear them, you know, and know what they're saying, but they're not speaking your language. Like you don't know. And it's crazy frustrating.
Yeah.
But amazing when you understand how they receive love. Then, like I said, it's like these tiny little things that you do make massive amounts of progress with that relationship. And that's what I think is so cool about it is like, as soon as you get it, all of these other things you've been trying so hard to do, you realize were in vain. And if you just did this tiny thing, like tell somebody thank you or bring them candy, you know, like that totally turns the whole thing on its head, and all of a sudden you are speaking their language, and it's magic.
Or
It's really
taking
great.
out the trash,
Right.
for acts of
Little
service,
things, yeah.
or, whatever that is. It's so easy if you just pay attention.
We have a conversation in my house about how dead sexy it is when you do dishes.
Right?
Maybe the sexiest thing ever, you know?
Absolutely.
And it works like a charm.
Yes.
It's the best.
So acts of service is hard for me because it's awesome having a partner that does acts of service,
Right.
but I am like so not an acts of service person. And I feel so bad for saying this because I don't want to do the dishes.
Right.
I really don't.
Which is why you need to hook up with somebody
right.
who doesn't mind the acts of service thing.
But to show that person love, it's like,
Fine, I'll do it.
I'll do the dishes. You're just like, God damn it.
Or
But
maybe it's a different service.
maybe it is. You know what? I can do laundry all day.
Maybe they need their hair done.
I can do your hair.
See, like,
it's fine.
easy enough.
Yeah.
All figured. One of my favorite things that I've seen about the 5 love languages is as it relates to tacos.
Yes. So that if you are confused about any of these love languages, put it in relation to tacos and it's all cleared up.
That's basically how I communicate everything.
So you should communicate everything through tacos,
indeed.
honestly. So let's go through these.
Go for it.
Okay. Words of affirmation as it relates to tacos. Your tacos are delicious.
It's like music to my ears.
Lori really does make great tacos.
I make
we
lots
have
of
them
tacos.
every Friday night.
It's actually my long-term retirement plan.
Yes.
Tacos are the best. Quality time is, let's go out and get tacos together.
I love that.
I mean, we're good at this.
This
is our
I
love
love
language.
tacos.
Yes.
Let's go get tacos together. Acts of service. I made you tacos.
Okay.
You do make me a lot of tacos,
It's
Laurie,
true.
and I really do appreciate
It's
it
one of the
because
things I know
hate
you'll
cooking.
I know you'll eat them. Like,
I will eat them. Yes.
Receiving gifts. Here's a taco.
Oh my God, my favorite. Thank you so much.
There's a reason why we're friends.
Yes. That really does work
I know.
really well. Physical touch. This one is probably my favorite because I don't know how this is possible. Let me hold you like a taco.
I mean, you could work. Yes. Love it. Okay, that was good times.
That was good times.
It helps me communicate things when you put it in taco form.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw this t-shirt that said, I wonder if tacos are thinking about me too.
Yes.
Like I'm constantly thinking about tacos.
They are.
And when you're in Texas, especially the DFW area, I mean, there's taco places on every street corner.
I was laughing yesterday about how quickly we went through a 45 pack of tortillas in my house. I was like, oh my gosh, no way. Have we actually eaten all of these already?
So good.
Oh my God. Okay. On from tacos. So we talk about love languages a lot with romantic relationships, but I think it's so critical to think about it in relation to friendships.
Mhm.
Maybe even friendships that your friends moved out of city, out of state, like friendships that have created distance or you just haven't talked to them in a long time. That understanding how your friends receive love means that you can very efficiently show love without a whole lot of effort, which is
Yeah.
great in today's world because things are crazy volatile and everybody's busy. And that I want to be able, I want my friends to feel the love, so.
Absolutely. Especially in like a COVID-19
Yeah.
world. My best friend and soul sister, Jackie, is all the way out in San Diego, who she's gotten her haircut at Gila Root, said it was
mean,
fantastic.
Referrals.
But, so anytime, and self-admittedly, I haven't been able to do it. I have been able. I just haven't, connected with her as much as I would like to, but, especially in the beginning, like the FaceTime calls. So
Mhm.
that face-to-face, you're not alone, words of affirmation. You're doing great.
Yeah.
You know what? You're doing great. You're doing it. Or, sending someone just something small, from an online shop somewhere.
Right.
Like I prefer to use Etsy over Amazon, but Amazon works great too, whatever you can do. Cause how would you do acts of service from far away?
I mean, you could send a cleaning lady to somebody's house.
Yeah.
You could,
Yeah, I guess you could hire help, like
you could
from the distance.
you could send dinner in from a delivery place, like those kinds of things. My mom has a thing for like sending me 6 different kinds of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory all at once. Like,
that's awesome.
It's a little bit overwhelming, but I'm never sad. It has its intended effect. So yeah, I mean, you could do acts of service that way.
True. Yeah.
I also think it's important at work when you're in team environments to understand how your teammates receive love.
Absolutely.
Because it helps so much when you're trying to coach people, when you're trying to encourage people, or even be an example to people, to understand the way that they receive those affirmations really helps you be able to deliver that. And so it's so many different relationships.
Absolutely. I can totally speak to that. So, I think it was for my birthday this past year when the girls decorated my station. It looked, this is going to sound so morbid for those of you who don't know me. It looked like a black party. Like it should have been cheerful, but it actually looked really kind of like a somber
or something. Yeah, it was awesome.
It was really awesome.
It was dark and mysterious.
But like everything was black. So it was like, black tissue paper, all over my station, black balloons, black M&Ms.
Right.
And it made me the happiest I had been in a really long time because it just meant so much to me that like they know me that well.
Well, and it wasn't expensive stuff.
No.
It was thoughtful stuff.
To get me black M&Ms.
Right.
It just spoke to my soul.
Brilliant.
So much. Or like, when Kelsey used to work with us and, Kelsey and I had this shared love of pickles. And so we would always like gift each other pickles. Yeah. And so when you work with people who just get you, it's really, really awesome.
It's so much, and it's fun.
Yes, it makes the work day like so fun. Yeah. And it's not like you have to do that every day.
No.
But
it is kind of like this constant one-upping of each other, where you're trying to continually pay it forward and do great things for one another. And that is awesome when you have a team environment that's kind of thriving off of that.
I agree. I think that love languages are also important in a parenting aspect.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I am still trying to figure out Adelaide's love language. Now, I haven't read the love language book for parents to kids.
I'm so interested when you get into
that. I should pick that up. But, Adelaide is 4 years old and is just kind of all over the place. And I try to be mindful of it. She's in this very like touchy-feely, loving space right now, but sometimes it's like in a manipulative way, like when she's trying to stall eating dinner. And I'm like, Adelaide, just eat your dinner. And she's like, can I give you a kiss and a hug? How do you say no to that sweet little face? Right. And I'm like, yes, you can give me a kiss and a hug, but eat your chicken, she knows how to work it. So then I think like, okay, so maybe she's a physical touch girl, or, sometimes I think it's words of affirmation. I mean, and what 4-year-old doesn't like receiving gifts?
Right. I kind of feel like when you're a kid, it's probably like across the board.
Oh God. And like I'll be gone from work for 8 hours and I come back. She's like, I missed you so much. So then I'm like, okay, maybe she's quality time or it's hard to figure out a 4-year-old in general. Right. So but I do try to be mindful of it as a parent. But I'd be really interested to read that book.
I also wonder, so think back, have yours always been the same? Because like when I was in high school, I don't know that, I think if I was in high school, it would have definitely been physical touch. Yeah. Like nothing rocked my world like somebody holding my hand when I was in high school, like that. But now physical touch isn't so much my love language, so I wonder how much it changes as you change, or as you grow and understand yourself better, that maybe you understand your love languages better, or if it's just something that's always there.
I think that for me, I can say that receiving gifts have probably always been my number one, but I think that I like balance between quality time and words of affirmation as like a close second.
Right. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So I like to keep the conversation. I feel like love languages is something that comes up every few years as like a trend topic almost, and that learning more about unique ways to deliver love languages is a really cool method of rewarding each other. Like you were talking about getting candy at the store, or, you know, like high fives at work. We did that for a long time, you know, and it was like this out in the open, you know, visual representation of patting each other on the back, you know, like that, finding inexpensive ways to encourage each other with love languages is definitely the way.
Yeah. And, you know, I think sometimes it pays to be open about it. Like, I think that a good first date question, or like getting to know someone, whether it's in a romantic way or not, is what's your love language?
Okay.
And, you know, then that way it's like out in the open, and, you know.
So if somebody had never read the book or heard anything about it,
then you do the tacos.
then you have to go, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to break this down in taco conversation so you can understand me.
That's what it's there for.
And if they don't get it, then you need to leave.
Yes.
Leave that date immediately. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, because I've had a conversation about love languages before, where the person I was talking to not blew it off, but was like, well, they're all important. And I'm like, well, yes, they are all important, but you usually just have one. So what is your one? And they're like, they're all, I'm like, no, you're not following.
You're not playing. You're not playing the game. Like, yeah, you got to play the game.
Yeah, you have to play along.
Take this quiz.
Take the quiz.
All right. Well, I'm excited that we pulled this out as a topic. And
I know love languages are always really fun to talk about. And I think that it sometimes says so much about a person that, like, it's kind of good to know, you know, what they like and what you're getting into.
Well, and to be able to talk about how you receive love too, you know, like that's something that the more I get to know myself, the easier it is to talk about.
Well, yeah, because, you know, being in relationships when I was younger versus being in relationships now, romantic or not, you know, when you truly know yourself, and it's so much easier to just put it out there and say what your needs are. Life is so much easier.
Yeah.
You know, to be like, hey, this is what I need, you know? And when I was younger, I never asked myself what I needed.
Yeah.
It was always about the other person, you know, romantic or not, that I always put myself on the back burner. And so as you get into your 30s, and like, at least in my experience, and you are like really growing and, you know, feeling yourself, and, you know, that from, you know, you get to this point where you're just like, no, this is who I am. And so now I don't have the guilt about the receiving gifts, because I've experienced it enough to know it's not about materialistic things.
Right.
It's not about things. It's about thought, you know.
Well, and people can't read your mind.
Right.
You know, like it makes the whole relationship so much easier if people are able to be upfront with that. And I feel like that is, I don't know, just being able to tell people what you need, and then people being able to hear that and be like, okay, awesome. You know, like I can do something with that. Because to your point, I think that sometimes if you're able to just like tell people, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I'm looking for, and this is, you know, like the way that I receive love and affirmation, that sometimes that's intimidating to the person that you're talking to, where they're like, oh geez, man, like this chick is like on, you know, but who are you looking for too? You know, like, are you looking for somebody who's maybe threatened by that or intimidated by that? Or are you looking for people who are like ready to get down to business and understand what they're all about too? And again, not just romantically. Maybe that's in, you know, we've talked before about like what a lot of work it is to have platonic friendships, you know, and that if that's somebody that you're like, yeah, I want to like hang with this girl and be friends, and, you know, like that is sometimes part of setting boundaries and establishing like what you're looking for in friendships.
Right. And our friend Danielle, who we had that whole topic of conversation with, is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Like, she's such a words of affirmation girl.
Totally.
And she shows that in her friendships with her girlfriends, in and out of work. And that I do try to, even though I'm not so much of a words of affirmation person, that I know that that's what she needs.
And so you want to deliver that,
right.
because
so I want to deliver that because I want her to feel loved and, you know, respected.
Which is why that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Right on. Well, I'm excited to hear more about love languages from our listeners and viewers. Maybe we'll put up a couple of posts so we can hear more about what your love languages are and the way that you guys give and receive love. To come up with some new tricks.
I'd love to hear it.
All right, cool. So everybody get on and show us some love. If you haven't followed us on a social media page or checked out our website, gone to the merch site, we would love to see you there and hear what's going on out here in Badass Ladies Club.
Should we cheers? I haven't even taken a drink this
That is
whole time.
unacceptable.
Unacceptable. I need my margarita.
All right,
Oh, so good. Tacos and margaritas at Laurie's house every Friday night. That's what we do.
this is what we do. Address
It's
on the next
true.
episode, so you guys listen up, okay?
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks. Bye.